The year 1962. Perfect music reigned in America. The charts were filled with sweet, perfectly produced songs that were flawless. Too flawless. Rock and roll, that wild, dirty rebel of the 50s, was sterilized and caged. Death? No, a coma from boredom. It was this vacuum, this stagnation, this excess of good music that created the urgency for revolution. The British invasion was not the accidental genius of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. It was a clear, calculated attack on the 5 perfect codes of American boredom. Today we will deconstruct this calm before the storm. We will ask the main question: what exactly did American pop culture offer John and Paul in 1962 that made them say, "No, this won't do"? We will gain insight into the secret that America slept through, learning how this intrigue led to a shift in world music power. This is a remembrance of how the perfect became the enemy of the great. Let the 1962 immersion begin. 1962. Everything was too clean. Naive innocence was the first code of boredom they fled. Imagine, music approved by mom. The British realized they urgently needed to create the opposite of this angel, something dirty and imperfect. This was their first target.
How I love him. He's got something that I can't read.
Imagine 1962, The No. One hit is Johnny Angel by Shelley Fabares. It was perfect yet sterile pop music, teenage yearning for an angel with sickly sweet backup vocals. There's no hint of rebellion, dirt, or electricity in this song. It's the purest, most naive, parent-approved pop. And that made it enemy no. 1. This is your remembrance of a world where rebellion was unnecessary. The British realized, to start the invasion, they urgently needed to create the opposite of this angel, intrigue. What kind of song was needed to throw the syrup out of the charts? Something dirty, shouting, alive. The Beatles brought not angels, but hooligans. Question: did you feel this boredom in the 60s? If so, you gained insight into the start of the invasion.
Elegance. American R&B became too complex and refined. Strings, tuxedos, perfect harmonies. It left the streets. For the Rolling Stones, this became the intrigue and the urgency to return to the roots, to bring back dirty, rebellious basement blues to the genre.
I get away from the hustling crowd.
The Drifters are great masters, but up on the roof is R&B taken to aristocracy. Sophisticated arrangements, strings, perfect harmonies. The music stopped being street level. It moved to the roof to look at the stars, not fight in alleyways. This is a remembrance of how the genre lost its dirt. British bands, especially the Rolling Stones, saw the intrigue in this and urgently decided they must return to dirty blues. Question: what happened when they stole this blues from the dirt? They restored power to the genre. You will gain insight into the greatest heist in rock history. They simplified R&B so it would be rebellious, not elegant, once again.
Technical ideal. Vocals were flawless, like Brenda Lee's, but teenagers in garages couldn't sing without a single false note. This created a question: why is the music so far removed from life? The urgency was authenticity. The British brought shouting, roughness, mistakes, and it worked.
Speak to me. Speak to me.
Brenda Lee is a technical standard. Speak to Me showcases vocals that leave no room for error. Not a single false note, not a single rough break, not a drop of teenage awkwardness. This is a remembrance of power, but also inaccessibility. A teenager couldn't sing like that. That is the intrigue. Question: how did the Beatles and The Who win over the youth? They offered a shout anyone could make. Lennon's roughness, McCartney's imperfect vocals, that's our insight. It was an urgency to replace professionalism with authenticity. Imperfection became the main trump card. American rock grew up too soon, and the British returned it to the garage.
Glamour. The music was sunny, clean, Hollywood-like a postcard from Miami. But it blinded and didn't allow insight into real emotions. The intrigue for the British: where are the shadows? Where is the dirt? Where is the London rain? An urgent replacement was needed. Instead of glamour, and authentic, dark, yet lively sound.
Where the boys are.
Connie Francis and Her Where the Boys Are. This song is like a postcard from Miami. Sunny glamour, perfect orchestration, absolute purity of sound. But it was this purity that created a vacuum. Rock and roll act. Intrigue. Where is the dirt? Where are the shadows? Where are the real emotions, not a polished Hollywood image? This is a remembrance of the ideal that tired everyone. The Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, the Animals. They brought not sunshine, but London rain to America. Question: do you feel the contrast between this glamour and A Hard Day's Night? The urgency was to replace glamour with authenticity. With this, the British gave us insight into the real, lively, imperfect sound.
Mania. Music became functional. The twist and leg shaking were more important than the work itself, as with Peppermint Twist. This is a remembrance of how rock and roll became background noise. The urgency was to bring back meaning. The British offered insight into the lyrics, the riff, the act, and not just the movement.
Peppermint Twist is the anthem of the 1960 to dance craze. A song that exists for movement, music became functional. It was background music for the twist, not a standalone work. This is a remembrance of how rock and roll turned into a light club trend. Intrigue. Where are the guitars? Where is the voice? Where is the protest? It was urgent to bring back music as an act, not as a background. The British brought songs where the lyrics mattered, the sound mattered, the riff mattered. Question: why did She Loves You work better than any twist? Because it gave the listener insight into something more than just leg shaking.
We have outlined the vacuum, the 5 codes of perfect, yet deadly boring American pop music of 1962. Now it's time for the explosion. The next block is the 5 codes of the Beatles' revolution. We will detail 5 songs that broke each of these codes, brought a dirty sound, and changed rock and roll forever. We continue our historical breakdown. You have gained insight into the secret America slept through. The next 5 videos will be dedicated to the 1962 hits that completed the crisis. 1. The Contours' Do You Love Me? How the dance craze drowned out the soul scream. 2. Ray Charles' You Don't Know Me. Question: why did even the genius Ray get stuck in perfect lounge R&B? This is a remembrance of jazz polish. 3. Booker T. and the MGE's Green Onions. Intrigue, the only instrumental gem that the British urgently stole for their riffs. 4. Sam Cooke Twistin' the Night Away. The final nail in the coffin of real soul. 5. Brian Hyland Sealed with a Kiss. Sterile teen pop romance that the Beatles had to urgently destroy. Wait for the announcement. Hit like if you enjoyed it. Write in the comments which American hit from 1962 annoyed you the most. And see you in the next block.